I'm not being facetious. Well, President Harris led this effort to make things better in the countries from which they are leaving.
Are you still monitoring the speaker's race? Are you still watching the speaker's race?
I'm following with great, how can I say it?
Attention.
Attention.
Thank you. Thank you, folks.
I know the night is late, but when we come back, our very first bill will repeal the funding for 87,000 new IRS. But we also pledge to bring Congress to the people, because answers have not and will not always be found in Washington. That's why one of our very first hearings will be held on the southern border. No more ignoring a crisis of safety and sovereignty. We must secure our border.
Would you decide that now is finally the right time to visit the southern border? Republicans have been calling on you to do this since the beginning.
Because Republicans haven't been serious about this at all. Come on. They haven't been serious about this at all. I wanted to make sure that I knew what the outcome, at least the near outcome, was on Title 42 before I went down. We don't have that yet, so I had to operate. I don't like Title 42. But so I wanted to make sure there was a rational way in which we could begin to announce it. But I couldn't wait once the Supreme Court ruled that they're not going to make the final decision on Title 42 for some time, for another, who knows, probably not till June, in that range, although I don't know.
That was easy, huh? I never thought we'd get up here. Thank you, Minority Leader Jeffries. Hakeem, I've got to warn you. 2 years ago, I got 100% of the vote from my conference.
Let me ask one separate question on the border then, to follow up on what she was asking about. There's reporting that El Paso has cleared the downtown of these expansive migrant camps that have grown there in advance of the president's arrival. Is the president going to see a sanitized version of El Paso when he arrives at the border on Sunday?
The president's very much looking forward to seeing for himself firsthand what the border security situation looks like, particularly in El Paso. He's very much also looking forward to getting a chance to talk to Customs and Border Patrol agents on the ground who are actually involved in this mission to get their firsthand perspectives of it.
I looked at the most recent month of data for people who cross the border and how they're handled. And it seems that under this new program, and please correct me if the data is outdated, it seems like you might have a better chance crossing the border and being allowed to stay than applying for this program because there are only 30,000 slots per month.
Look, I will go back to what I have said and what the president has said, I think very passionately yesterday and very precisely, which is that we are doing everything that we can to secure the border and to deal with irregular migration. That is a priority for this administration since day one.
For example, since August of last year, Customs and Border Patrol have seized more than 20,000 pounds of deadly fentanyl. That's enough to kill as many as 1,000 people in this country. 20,000 pounds of fentanyl. It's a killer. It's a flat killer.
But I hope one thing is clear after this week. I never give up. And I make this promise. I'll never give up for you, the American people.
I spent a long time covering
immigration stuff during the Trump years. I never saw more damning quotes from immigration advocacy groups and human rights groups during the Trump years as I saw yesterday towards this administration. Just reading one to you, Eleanor Acer, who's one of the leading advocacy people, heads up a refugee group, called what the president did yesterday a humanitarian disgrace. And that was echoed across the board in literally scores of emails I got from every humanitarian group. What does the administration say to the overwhelming consensus from people who advocate on behalf of asylum seekers and refugees and migrants that what the president did yesterday was a humanitarian disgrace?
Well, obviously, we take a different.
In fact, the previous administration used a rule called Title 42 to deal with this as a means to expel people at the border. People turned away under Title 42, and they're not they're not barred from trying to come back. They've been turned away. They go back. They try again. They try again. Well, you know, and 100 new immigration judges, so people don't have to wait years to get their claims adjudicated, which they have a right to make a claim legally. And the failure to pass and fund this comprehensive plan has increased the challenges that we're seeing at our southwest border. No one knows this better than the vice president. And the thing that I'm so presumptuous to say proud of the vice president, she went beyond the United States and contributors to try to get the rest of the world to say, look, this makes sense. And, you know, she got commitments of 3.5, is it? $3.2 billion. And so there's a lot to be done.
But as the pilot program with Venezuela was happening and did reduce the number of crossings by 90% over those first few weeks that it was in place, the number of gotaways did skyrocket too at the same time. And so my question is, does the fact that if you cross illegally, it makes you ineligible for this program, does that now disincentivize people to turn themselves in and then make part of this problem harder?
It's difficult for me to get in the mind of every individual that may have already crossed over illegally. What they ought to know is that we are going to be making sure that we're increasing our ability to enforce these policies.
And just one more on this. Mexico has now agreed to take 30,000 migrants from these 4 countries who attempt to cross the border illegally. Right. Did the U.S. provide, or are we providing any assistance, any aid to Mexico to deal with that influx?
I'm not aware of any specific infrastructure improvements or that kind of thing, but I'll tell you what, I'll take the question and ask because I just don't know. I'd also refer you to DHS on that.
Which obviously the president has called on Congress to enact over and over again. What is his sort of theory of the case right now for getting that done? Will he be taking his own actions to do outreach to members? Does he basically consider that a top priority going into the new Congress?
So first of all, it is a top priority. I mean, the president put forth a comprehensive immigration reform on day one. So the president inherited a mess because of what the last administration did. We inherited a mess. And, Republicans in Congress made it worse by blocking comprehensive immigration reform. And so what you're seeing from this president is he's acting. He's acting to protect, to continue to protect the border, secure the border, and also deal with irregular migration.